working well?
I'm doing well. Long time no
You've lost
see.
a bit. You've lost a bit of weight.
Yeah, I have. Yeah. I stopped eating a lot of crap.
Oh yeah. Well, you
No,
look
actually,
super.
yeah, no, I switched. I switched my workout programs.
Okay.
So,
What?
yeah, I was doing like when I first met you, when a couple of years ago, I was doing powerlifting.
Yeah.
So I was doing real heavy weights, low rep. I was eating a lot. I was strong, but like I was kind of like, a little extra padding.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like
So,
I know a lot of the guys. Like I would less want to fight a power lifter to most boxers though, because if it takes one punch from a power lifter and that's it, you're fucked. Like you're done for, right? So I don't know.
yeah, I think size matters definitely.
Oh yeah.
Right? I mean, like if someone is like twice your strength, like good luck. Like you better have like Tate level boxing skills.
I'm running, bro. I'm running. Usain bolting the fuck out of there is where I'm off to.
Yeah.
But no, you look super healthy.
Yeah, I'm just doing like jiu-jitsu. I'm doing jiu-jitsu 3 days a week. And then I'm just doing like kettlebells, like swings to skin volume in, and then like mobility work.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I've been missing. I mean, I was a rower back in the day, and I still got a bunch of friends who row competitively. So I was up in Washington, D.C. like 2 months ago. And one of my buddies who's still rowing, he's like representing the United States for like open ocean rowing.
Jeez.
And but I know there's 4 guys in the boat and I know all of them. And I'm like, I could beat that guy, like this one guy in there. I'm like, I should be representing the United States.
Yeah.
Right. And he's like, well, we don't like them. So if you want in, get your ass in shape. I was like, what would I have to do to get back into like peak rowing shape? And really the number one thing for me is it's not my strength. It's my mobility. Like for rowing, you got to get your knee to your chest easily.
You know what? That's true.
Yeah. And so like, man, my hips are all tight. Like, my hamstrings are tight. Like I can't get that range of motion that I used to have. So now I'm seeing, I'm just working on that like daily.
Well, what was it? Because I wasn't trying to row or anything, but I noticed a few months ago that my hips were just fucked. My flexibility, my knees, like everything was just aching just because I was sat down. You know what it's like, right? You just sat down all fucking day and you're just there working. So I've started every half an hour now, 3-minute stretch, and I've noticed a lot. Like the difference is so much better. My brain is so much more like switched.
Yeah, that's all you need. Like, I mean, you're doing it often. I mean, I'm trying to do it like at least once a day, but hopefully twice, just to get like movement going. That's all you need.
Do you know what? For me, it's one of the things that now I swear by. I absolutely swear by it because I think I even did a tweet about it today. Actually, something like energy goes when the blood properly flows, or something like that.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
And I've noticed, like, ever since I've started doing it, my brain is just on. Like, I can't stop.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I've been switching is like, I'm not trying to do some like one crazy hard workout. I'm trying to like get 30 kettlebell. Like, I have a 70-pound kettlebell. I don't know what that is in your European kilos, but maybe 40 kilos or something like that.
Your weird measurements.
And so I'll just try to bust out like 40 swings, in like a 5-minute period. And then like a couple hours later, I'll do it again. It's like, you got energy all day.
Yeah. It's good for the kettlebell in the middle of your feet, and then doing the what fuck knows what they're called. The hip thrust movement. Anyway, that one's supposed to be great for your hip. I can imagine that one's probably going to be good if you almost kind of added a squat to it. I don't. Yeah, I'm thinking though. I'm not the health guy. That's for sure. I haven't, I haven't been to the gym now for like a month. I'm just doing home workouts.
That's all I'm really doing too. That and the jiu-jitsu. It's like I don't have time to go to the gym anymore. It's such a hassle.
it's like an hour there, an hour back. Then you've got to change, get out of your sweaty stuff, and it's too much hassle. It's too much hassle for the same. Okay, fine. You can get a lot more, I would say, probably the best word would be like defined muscle.
You're looking to be a
movement.
bodybuilder, I guess.
Yeah.
Otherwise, now it's like you're just catching a me too, just by like entering the gym.
God, have you seen those fucking videos, man?
It's terrible. It's garbage.
What's happened to America? I mean, it's obvious it's Biden, but
listen, I'm holding it down in Florida. It's like Florida is literally like the last state that you go to before you just leave the country. Yeah. Right. It's like I still want to be in the United States for like business, and I have family here. Like I don't want to rip the cord completely, but I'm hanging on. Right. And if it gets much worse, I'm gone.
Thank you. Honestly, brother, I couldn't deal with it. It's like even the chicks in Fort Lauderdale, Miami, I can't. I don't know.
I mean, I'm on the West Coast, so it's a little bit like it's a little bit quieter over here, you know, in terms of, you know, we're not dealing with that crap. You know, it's a little bit more family oriented. Yeah, you can go to Tampa, which is about like like you want to have a degenerate weekend, you go to Tampa. Otherwise, the area I'm living in is like the most conservative county in Florida.
It's what you want, though. It's like I don't get the people that just want. I say I don't. I do. I understand why people want to live in cities with all of the amenities and everything else. But for me now, honestly, I'm so fucking happy where I live. It's so peaceful, so quiet, it's safe. I'm not going to get stabbed by anyone. I'm not going to get robbed. It's just nice. It's nice, and the peace and the quiet. You've got the wind, you've got the sea. Because you live just right on the ocean, don't you? You've got the...
Yeah, I live on an island. So yeah, I'm living on Siesta Key. So I'm chilling here on my little, like, you know, we can blow, like if it gets bad, we'll just blow the bridges off. Right. And just keep everyone off our little island. We can go fishing. We'll live off the land. We have the whole survival compound planned, Michael.
New America. That's probably a place, isn't it? That probably. Now I'm gonna have to check that out afterwards. New America. New America. What would you call it?
New America? Like what? Our little like. I don't even know. I don't think there is a New America. I think it's over.
Yeah, it's pretty much done. It is pretty much done. But,
yeah, I mean, I think I like the way people are thinking. It's like everything's going to evolve into little tribes. It'll be internet tribes, right? Everyone bands together, and people kind of pick their little special interest group, and that'll be it.
Yeah, I don't know how it's going to look long term. Like, it's quite interesting because it could kind of revert back to the like you said, like the tribal. It's like us feudalism against this tribe. Yeah. It could, I'm not talking maybe in like, 10, 15, 100 years, probably longer than that, right? But it could revert back to that. And I'm like, that could be interesting. Imagine like blocks of neighborhoods getting together and just having all-out war together.
I think, obviously there needs to be some law and order, right? So I don't think the United States is going anywhere. Like people are like, oh, the nation state's going away. It's like, no, it's not. Yeah. Like you need some law and order, right? You need someone like some measure of civility, or else it all just goes to hell. But
well, you guys are already in most parts already going to hell. You guys have already. Yeah.
It's bad. Yeah, my family's in Philadelphia, and you can't even arrest someone.
Yeah, it's ludicrous. Have you seen these? Because obviously, recently I've been having to spend, unfortunately, more time on social media just to get more ideas and more.
Dude, you're all over, man. You're growing like crazy. Your Twitter's popping.
I don't know.
It's impressive.
Twitter's just gone fucking nuts. 2 weeks and it's like 1,000 followers, and I'm like,
no, that's really impressive. It really is.
I'm impressed with it because I was doing it before, like when I was doing my old business, the sales consultancy. When I was doing it before, bro, no one fucking wanted to follow me. No one wanted to follow me. I just come back on after I left it in dormant in 2016 or 15. And I come back on, instant blow up. I don't know why that is, but Twitter.
Did you change the way you're posting?
Oh, definitely. Now,
I mean, I can see the stuff you're posting. Your stuff is posting it like triggers people.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Did you see the? Oh, it was hilarious. There was a post that I made about being a virtuous man or something like that. That was it. I was just like, for all of the young men who don't have a job, who don't have a house, who don't have a car, who don't have a future, and who are also morbidly obese, but still want a wonderful, submissive wife.
Oh, well, they're delusional.
Yeah, and I said, what are you looking for? What are you expecting her to submit to? Poverty? And then this one OnlyFans girl, who literally you just click on her thing and like Miami level degeneracy, let's say that much. But she posted, and then I just triggered the fuck out of her. She's like, "Oh, why can't more men be like this?" And I'm like, there are plenty of men like this. It's just that we don't tend to go for women that put their vaginas on Twitter for free.
Right.
You know, she didn't like that one very much. She blocked me
apparently not.
Away. But I love Twitter. It's fun.
Yeah, your Twitter thing's doing well. I'm just getting started. I just been started with my social stuff like a week ago, and my Instagram's doing all right, but my YouTube's doing the best so far.
YouTube.
Yeah, I'm getting I've done it. I started a week ago, and so far I've gotten 6,000 views on my reels.
Holy shit!
In a week, yeah.
That's great, bro.
Yeah, yeah, right. And I was like, one of them got like 2,500 views. So
wow,
yeah,
that's super impressive.
Maybe that'll be my platform. Who knows? Well, everyone, you find your niche somewhere.
This is the thing with building your own personal brand, right? Like you have to be everywhere initially, but then you can sort of home in.
Yeah. I'm doing this. Yeah, I'm going the same strategy that I did when I started building my company. So like in the beginning, I'm scrambling, I'm poor, right? But I'm hustling, right? I'm getting some money in the door enough to survive. But eventually, I don't know, we started a web design agency, and the first client that I happened to get through a referral happened to be like a nonprofit. There were some random association in the DC area. So we built them a pretty good website and launched it. And then, all the business books I read over the years were like, you have to pick a niche, right? Pick a niche down. I was like, all right, well, I guess, why don't we create nonprofit websites? Okay. And so we just did. And we created a website. It was called Nonprofit CMS. We got it then I'm like, well, I got to get business somehow. Right. So I'm like cold calling. This is train wreck, right? Absolute train wreck, right? With no sales background at all. And I was like, well, I don't think cold calling's for me, at least maybe not yet. That was my belief at the time. Yeah. I was like, so I need to find a way for people to come to me. And I was like, I have to get visible in Google. It's the only way, right? For that kind of business, you need volume.
Mass volume.
Yeah, you need a volume, because at the time, now our business model changed, but at the time I'm like, I just want to create these dirt cheap websites and just get the hosting, because the hosting is where you get the valuations. Yeah. And so I started running some calculator. I'm like, I need 3,000 clients, right? Or something like that. Yeah. And I was like, well, how do I get high in Google? And that was the first thing, the rabbit hole that I went down. And so I read all this stuff. I was all over the SEO forums back in the day. And basically people were like, you have to publish 100 pieces of content. Because once you pass the 100 pieces of content threshold, that's everything, you start getting traffic, right? So assume that you're going to get zero traffic until you hit 100 blog posts. At the time, this is 2009, right? Blogging was still a really effective way for SEO. Maybe it still is, but it's not like it was back in the day.
What do you think about blogging now? Because I don't see anyone doing it.
I think it's fine, because it depends what you're in. I view them as we call them do you ever play the game GoldenEye?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so there's remote mines that'll just blow up. like
Blog
randomly.
articles.
Yeah, or proximity mine. So that's kind of what we refer them to, is like you throw them out there, right? Put some keywords in there that you know someone might search for, make it really, really specific. And maybe you'll get one deal a year from them, like from that specific blog article. And so it still works. Don't expect to get number one for like marketing software anytime soon.
Yeah, we were still taking the blog approach. But I think now it's much, at least in my opinion, right? With YouTube, for example, because now you've got YouTube is now owned by Google, all of this shit. But do you know what? By the way, before I even continue, I haven't even said we can start again, but from the beginning. But because normally what I do is I just have a conversation with people before we get on, but. It's flowing so good already. So I mean,
we'll keep going. Yeah,
may as well just carry on.
Yeah.
So just for you guys who are watching, this is one of my very, very good friends. One of I would also consider to be one of my mentors and sales superheroes, Tim Spell, who's just starting his own personal brand as well, by the way. So make sure that you give him a follow. I'll include all of his links down below. Make sure that you do, especially if you're in business, sales, marketing, you can't get someone better to follow. So as we were saying, though, it was one of the things that we were trying to do with my old business before I had those issues there. I don't know if you saw about those, but and blog articles work, but it's like you need to have, I think, some kind of larger deal that you're trying to make, like rather than small ticket.
Yeah, I think they serve two purposes. Like there's two kinds of blog articles that you can have. There's ones that are like, I just view as total SEO fodder.
Yeah.
Like you're just make sure they're decent content. Don't just put out random crap, but like put SEO articles in there. But then there's sales collateral blog articles.
Yeah.
And so like you can use them as part of the sales process. If someone has it written for us, they have a random unique workflow. We'll have a little write-up on how we did it for someone. And then we'll just send them that as part of the sale. Hey, by the way, based on our conversation, you might want to check out this article, this article, this article.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's kind of like an engagement thing. And then because otherwise, like you look at the analytics and there's like 2 views on these articles. Yeah. You spend all this time writing, you're like, what is the point? So you really need a distribution engine for the blog articles, whether it's your email marketing or your social, like but then you see the companies that it's like their entire social media presence is just blog articles.
Yeah.
No one cares.
No
one's reading this stuff.
It's like there's no personality behind the brand. And there needs to be some kind of personality behind the brand. You know who I've seen who's absolutely fucking killing it right now is Ryanair. Of all companies,
Ryanair, really?
Oh yeah, dude. They I don't know whose idea this was, but it's genius because it's worked. It's worked and it's worked time and time again. So they ran an ad basically of a meme of a Ryanair plane with a 1-star review saying my flight was like an hour and a half late or something. And Ryanair genuinely responded to this on their reviews page by saying, well, what do you expect when you're paying £30 for a flight that goes like 200 miles or something? And it blew up. But it blew up because everyone was just like, oh my God, they're actually running an ad on this. How hilarious. But the funniest part about it was actually the comments, Tim. You had everyone commenting saying stuff like, yeah, how come it costs more for my luggage than it does for me to take the flight in the first place? And then just Ryanair were coming up with these super witty, hilarious responses. Just like, well, look,
like almost
we had to make,
them?
yeah, we have to make money somehow. Who do you think's flying your plane? A pigeon or a pilot or something? I was like, bro, this is genius marketing. But it
Well,
works.
and they're still like, all right, they're appealing to like budget consumers.
Yeah.
Right. And so they're all saying, how can you get a flight for $30? They're like, well, right.
There you go.
Like, I don't care. I don't care. I just need my cheap flight.
Yeah, it's genius. It really was, because it hits the mark on so many levels, because of course it's going to be viral, right? That's number one. Because of course, like you were just saying, distribution channels. If you don't have, you could have the cure for cancer, but unless there's people that know about it, you're fucked. It will go to the grave with you, right? So the virality of it was insane. It was in all of the news outlets and everything. That was great. But the personality, of it was perfect, and it was genius, because most of the people that use Ryanair nowadays, at least in Europe, are young, sort of anywhere between 16 to mid 20s. Or families who don't take life like super seriously. The middle class families who also want to have a laugh and just have a good experience, take the family on holiday. So those kinds of people hate Karens, right? So the fact that Ryanair is taking the piss out of Karens and then also using the comments from Karens to then start more ads. I was blown away. Whoever that person is a genius marketer, but that would only work with that specific audience, right? Like it wouldn't work for like a FTSE 100 company or like a NASDAQ company, right? So what would you say if for someone who's starting their first business, what would you say is like the biggest kind of fundamental when it comes down to marketing as a whole?
Oh man. Well, I guess that depends on the business to a degree, but man, fundamentals for marketing 101. Well, I'm reinventing myself now, so it's like kind of like starting a new business from scratch. I mean, you need eyeballs. Like, so that's one. You have to differentiate your brand. You can't just be noise. The biggest advice I got early on, now we already had a product, right? But like our branding was just a train wreck, right? Uh-huh. We had nonprofit web design brand, but then we had like all these like products we were like SaaS products we were starting to build. And like, so if you looked at my email signature at the time, it was like nonprofit CMS and then like award CMS, conference CMS, member CMS, right? All these with different websites and different brands, like kind of similar brand. It was just bad. And I sat down with this one guy who was, he had sold his company for like $60 million in our industry. Only like, 10, 12 years older than me. And anyway, I LinkedIn messaged him. I was a young dude. I was like, hey, would you be open to having lunch with me? I just, would appreciate some advice. And he was like, yeah, sure. So we had lunch. And, I'm telling him all this stuff. And he's like, hey, listen, I don't know. He's like, all I can tell you right now, he's like, from someone he would consider himself a pretty good marketer. He's like, your branding's a train wreck. He's like, in my company, we made sure we picked a name. He's like, and you're changing constantly. And if you keep adding on products, it's just a mess. So you need to have an overarching brand and it needs to be generic. Like I was trying to pick names of like what we do. And he's like, he's like, what I did is I picked a very generic company name. I won't name the specific, let's call it like Smarter Logic, right? Yeah. Doesn't mean anything, right? But like, he got a little stamp. He had a gecko representing his brand, like really flashy orange colors. You go to the trade shows, it's just like him and an orange army, just dominating like the visibility. And he's like, you got to pick a brand. You got to have it mean nothing. And then you got to just own the colors.
Yeah. Color branding. What is it? It's not color branding theory. Well, no, it's just color theory. Color theory is super important. It's, I see, so especially online, I see so many people using Like for me, my colors are white and blue, just because it's always been my colors, and people can see. Ironically, I'm wearing white and blue, but it's I'm representing the brand, Tim. I'm branding myself, but it's you need to see like in a very gray environment, especially like trade shows where everyone's just wearing sort of normal sort of dull black suits. If you're there and you're wearing some kind of fluorescent pink like top or something, it's going to jump out. But you can't have a very fluorescent bright pink top and then for your website to be some dull gray boring thing.
Yeah, I mean, we hired a marketing. He wound up giving us a referral to his marketing agency, and we worked with them on this project to redo our brand and all that. And we spent a nice little penny on that, and especially early on, like we didn't have a lot of money floating around, and we spent 30 grand for this brand refresh. So we really took it seriously. And we had to pick a new name too. And I don't know if like picking a name for a company is so hard, right? It's like, because no one agrees. Like, and so, we come back and forth. The marketing company gave us like 200 names. They were all terrible. Like one of them was Ali Oxenfree. Like, and at that point, my business partner just lost all respect for this marketing agency.
Yeah.
But, listen, to their credit, they guided us along in the process. And I was still rowing at the time. And I was like, what about the name Water?
Oh, I lost you for a second.
It's my partner first. Like, okay, you can hear me now?
Yep, I got you back.
Okay. Anyway, so I was like, what about the name Open Water? Right? I was rowing at the time, and it's a term in rowing that really is a measurement of victory. So, I was like, it's got a positive connotation. It means winning. Like, because before our name was nonprofit CMS, right? And we had all the people applying for a company. We're like, I want to change the world. There's nothing wrong with that. But when we changed to Open Water, we got all these Ivy League candidates who were like, I want to crush it. I was like, yes. So it attracted the talent. While we were struggling to hire anyone to work for a company before, once we changed to Open Water, we were getting literally the best candidates on the market.
Yeah.
It's that helped. And then it was like, what is Open Water? Right? What does it even mean? Right. Yeah. And it like we had this little wave in our logo, and like it was so unique in our industry that like people couldn't happen but come up to us and be like, what do you guys do?
Yeah. Like what is this exact? Because that's the other thing as well. I think with sales and marketing, there's so many people like say straight away everything that they do. Like the branding says every single thing that they do, and it doesn't entice that wanting of more, right? Like we as human beings, we kind of like the mystery, but when we're obviously when we arrive to that sales call, we're like, okay, just come on, man, give what is it? What's the thing? Give me.
And then you it's no different than dating in many ways. You slowly reveal more and more.
Yeah. And
then they just be like, oh wow, they're liking everything they see as they're going along.
Yeah.
And then
and that's the thing. You can, and I was having this conversation with I can't remember who it was, but I was having this conversation the other day, and I was saying it's so like dating, because especially when you're going in for the close, you need to do that at the like throughout the sales call, right? Like you can't just go and as you meet someone straight away go and be like, hey, let's go straight back to mine. Like that might work. That maybe it could work, but it's probably not going to be a high probability and a valuable woman, right? Like, especially not one that you'd like to work with for a long time. So it's exactly the same thing with closing as well, because if you close too soon, you make the other person kind of feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think you're right. You're totally right. Like, and I think, I've actually changed my sales approach in the past 4 months. I mean, obviously I got trained in Sandler. I still use a lot of Sandler. But the high probability selling, like once you start, it takes some getting used to.
Yes.
right? But once you start using it, it's like, well, I can't go back, right? It's just so easy. But like the way I view it now, it's like, because I was these enterprise software guys are like, oh, it'll never work for enterprise. We're dealing with too many decision makers. It's too complex of a sale. We need a more complex system. I'm like, no, you don't.
You don't.
Right? Because like the way I'm viewing it now is like, all right, for someone to buy my software, which is, it's not super enterprisey, but like, it's complex, right? There might be 30 different mini milestones that we have to meet along the way. Right. And and as I'm guiding through the sales process, we're walking them through, making sure we can hit their workflow for all, understanding exactly what they do. And if there's anything that we can't do, or that they might have to change how they're doing things, that's a stopping point.
Yep.
And it's like, well, this is how, and then what I used to do is like, well, we don't do that. It sounds like you're not interested. That would be the Sandler approach. I don't like that. I actually think we got as far, so I don't want to like hate on it too much. But now we're like, hey, well, listen, this is how our software works. Or we could do this. What would you like to do?
Yep.
So we're not pushing the sale away. We're just saying, well, this is what we can offer.
Yeah. This is
and
what
then
we
you
offer.
You do that. And for an enterprise software, that might be 100 checkpoints. Yep. Right. But you're just literally going down the checklist one at a time. No, this is what we do. We can do this. We can't do that. What would you like to do? Right. Yep. And you just do that to the end.
But it's really that simple. It's do you know what pisses me off, Tim? Well, you know this very well. The fucking garbage salespeople that try to sell people, right? Like and this is part of the concept of selling, which I think is so grossly misrepresented online. It's like you have to sell someone something. It's like you don't have to sell someone something, especially even less if it's something that they don't need or want, right? Because we need to breathe, for example, right? If someone needs a product to save their business, then they need that product. If someone wants that product, then of course it's like more relaxed as well, and they still want it. But those are two of the main ones, obviously, to save time, save money. Those are other reasons why people buy, right? But I think now with the high probability selling, what that opens up is much more of like a fluid conversation.
Yeah, it's convo.
And it's that simple, but it's so applicable in so many areas of life. Because I can imagine not many people have heard of high probability selling. Just in a very brief analogy or nutshell, explain what's the book by Jack Hawksworth. I always forget the name.
Yeah. Well, it's only dealing with prospects that want to deal with you. So you're like, the way that I view it is like, and I think this is a great analogy because I went to one of their webinars, like, and I wound up talking to some of the guys there at corporate, and they're like, I explained how I was selling and how I was incorporating stuff. They're like, wow, you got pretty close. No professional training. I'm like, not with high probability selling. Like, I just read a couple books. And they're like, whoa. And I explained how I pitched. They're like, wow, you're like 90% there. Here's the adjustment you need to make. Like, and this is now what I've been introducing is like, no. We have vanilla chocolate strawberry. You're asking for Rocky Road. We don't have that. We only have this. So what do you want? Instead, I used to be like, well, we don't have that. So, it sounds like you're not interested, but what would you like to do? I don't know. I was like, it wasn't as clean.
Yeah.
But they just cut right. I almost view it like you're going, like, it's direct. It's very direct, but it's not confrontational.
Yeah. That's the most beautiful
fair way to say it.
Yeah, it's very. I love that analogy because it explains it very, very well. It's like and I'll probably do this quite often and relate sales to dating, because I think that for most people just getting into sales, that's where they can sort of also see, oh shit, sales is actually applicable. It's the most important skill in life, unquestionably, without shadow of a doubt in my mind. And like with women, I always use the analogy of you don't ever go and say, well, no, you're not doing that because okay, I'm doing this. You don't want to do that? Fine. Okay, cool. You can do that, but you're going to end up losing a lot of very, very good, amazing women that otherwise you could have had amazing, beautiful experiences with. Maybe it's a short period of time, maybe it's a long period of time, who knows? But rather than just saying, okay, here's the thing, you want that thing, I want this thing, I'm called to part ways as friends. And if that's the case for you, that's the case for you. That's fine. And then it's a very soft, delicate way of just, it's not even putting boundaries down. It's just simply by saying, look, we're a coffee shop. We do coffee here.
Yeah.
We don't do I don't know. We don't do raves.
Well,
we don't do raves.
I think in both cases for relationships and sales, there's one huge, I think, commonality, and that's you got to be willing to walk.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not willing to walk, what do you like? You have no ground.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter if you present options, right? Because you're like, well, I don't want either one of them. I want my way. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
It's like,
right.
Well, like,
dance away.
So I 100%. It's like, you have to have, and this assumes there's some conflict, right? Like, no, hey, listen, this is the way I'm going to be leading my life. This is the direction I'm going. Would you like to join me on that?
Yeah. Would you? The train. The
answer is no. That's okay. I totally understand. We can stay in touch. I really wish I'm the best, but this is where I'm going.
Yeah, and it's spot on. It's spot on. And I think a lot of people are scared in sales and relationships because they're scared of walking away because they don't have any other option, especially in sales, right? You probably see this quite often with every single company that I've ever walked into to try and teach sales. There's always those sales guys that they're pushing for the sales so hard. Yeah. And they're pushing for this.
They're trained that way. Yeah.
Because I was surprised actually because one of the company, I can't remember, the IT software sales and help desk support sales they were doing, and their main IT sales director was just high probability selling, but without even knowing what he was doing. Yeah. He had no idea how to train them. The normal. Got into the business really early, just as a gift of the gab, was able to talk to people,
right?
Able to have good conversations. But no, I think a lot of it comes down to this scarcity kind of mindset, and I think that's a very natural thing. I think one of the things that I've realized in my teachings recently is I think a lot of people are scared to lose the sale because they're like, oh no.
And once you get in that scared mode, like you're toast.
Done.
Like, yeah. And I've had reps be successful. I've had reps be successful and drop off, and not everyone comes back.
Yeah.
And I watch it as a manager and I'm like, oh God, like, what do I do here? And the only way I've been able to rescue it so far with guys in my team has been, and I don't really like, now you can get rid of people, right? But if someone was a high performer for a while, like it's probably something going on up here, right? And then they develop all these bad habits. So you have to essentially go back to the basics with them.
Yeah.
And that means like looking at everything they're doing.
Yeah.
And in some cases taking over, right? Sometimes they just need to like mirror what you're doing as a role model.
Mm-hmm.
And then they can get, that's what I found. There was a guy that I've been working with now and he's just annihilating it now. Like after I almost let him go, right? And now he's just crushing it.
It's funny because there's so many different outside sources.
Your outlook really impacts how you sell. Totally.
Massively. Like if nothing else, I don't think it's how that has to be the number one thing, because I don't think it's necessarily, it's not really what you say, it's not necessarily how you say it, but it's how are you actually coming across, right? Because I think people just innately, we have this sixth sense for like needy people.
Totally.
You know, and there is something. I was reading a while ago that there's now a theory as to why this is, which is that in the ancient days, when we were all living in tribes, as we were talking before, in New America, Old America, but when someone wasn't accepted by a tribe, that was obviously for some reason, right? Maybe they were ill, maybe they were just like cancerous to the tribe, maybe they had no skill set or whatever. So they were very needy to get into any tribe, and they would try and do anything. And I think there's still some weird remnant in ourselves on that, because we all know what it's like, right? We all know what it's like when you're like, man, something about this person. Why are they trying to help me so much?
Why are they being so nice to me?
Like, yeah, why are they trying to help me so much?
Yeah, why are they trying to? They're trying to impress me. They're trying to make me like them. Now I'm repulsed.
Yeah. Oh, you couldn't have used a better word for that. Repulsed. It is. It's very repulsive.
The repulsive instinct. Yeah. I mean, this is dating, and then it gets worse. I mean, because you see it in the dating, like, so obviously, right? It's like when someone hasn't been with someone, or maybe they've never been with someone, and it's been a couple of years or whatever, like, oh man, you can it's like a mile away.
Yeah.
And it's Michael, I feel you got a tough job, right? If you're, but the only way to do it is build yourself up. That's what I feel. I mean, you have to become, I guess the Tim Spelt dating advice channel, right?
Yeah. Sales is dating. Look, guys,
you have to. Yeah, it is. Yeah, because I think this, strong people, and I mean that both men and women, and it make good sales reps.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You have to be somewhat aggressive, but not, in your face, but you have to have a backbone. And I think the only way to do that is to build a foundation of strength.
Yeah. And boundaries. Like it's you need to have those boundaries with everyone, right? Because I think it all boils down to relationships, really, right? Like that's what sales is. Are you able to really understand someone's wants and needs well enough to be able to turn around to them and say, you know what? And are you also moral enough? Because there is an essence to morality about it, which is by saying, look, you know what? After everything that we've just said, after me qualifying you, which is something that, especially as men, right? We've seen this many times over. Men not qualifying, women not qualifying the people that they're dating, and then all of a sudden you go fast forward 2-4 months down the line, and the relationship's falling apart. Everyone's hating each other, both in actual relationships and in business relationships. But are you able to be honest with another person, and are you able to ask genuine questions to see if you can genuinely help that person?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that's why that was what I was trained in Sandler, was questioning strategies. I mean, it's the biggest benefit of Sandler is learning questioning strategies, right? Yeah. Which high probability selling also teaches. So I think a lot of people who struggle to get into high probability selling straight away were like, they've never really been taught questioning strategies.
Yeah.
Right. So maybe it's why I had an easier time with it. But, dating, it's the same way. It's like who you're getting yourself into, right? Because I think similar to both sales and for dating is like, you have to paint a vision in people's minds about what the future is going to look like.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. It's
like, what kind of life are they going to have with you if they're dating you? Are you just some boring dude who never goes anywhere and has no money and dresses like crap? Like, or are they going to want to go on a little adventure?
Yeah.
And can you provide that adventure? Right.
That's the important thing.
That's really it. I think that's really it.
Yeah. It's very straightforward. And this is the thing which, and me as well, I still find it difficult even now, I still find it difficult when I'm looking at someone. I'm like, no, you're overcomplicating the entire thing. It's like, look, it's can you provide what you're saying that you're going to provide, right? Like, it's a very straightforward concept, and I think it's oftentimes it's so simple.
It's really simple. I mean, like
logical people, and this is why I'm.
Well, what do I have to say? What do I have to say? Okay, maybe you give some advice on some opener, I guess, just to break conversation, right? But it doesn't really matter, honestly.
It doesn't help. It doesn't help, right? Like,
if you have nothing after that to lean on to, you're toast anyway.
It fucks. Again, it's like these PUA, these pickup artist dudes, right? Like, oh, teach me what to say. It's like, okay, well, you could, okay, fine. You can get a girl, you can get her interest. Okay, now she's paying attention to you. Now what? Now you're fucked. Now you're fucked. And even if a relationship does form, then eventually the mask is going to slip, and it always does, right? And I think that's one of the things, especially in sales, that is overlooked. Is it's very simple. It is very simple. I think for most sales pitches, and I mean, I'm very interested in what you think about this, because I haven't. This is a new structure that I have, which is, first part is the obvious qualification, then reasoning, qualification, reasoning, understanding that reasoning, and then close.
Okay, so understanding, well, that's part of the qualification process, right?
Yeah.
Reasoning, which is the prospect's reasons why they might be doing that.
Yeah, reasons as to why they would want it, why then would they be doing it now, the sort of normal questions there on timing, reason.
Yeah,
both.
And then what's after that?
Understanding. So going a little bit of a level deeper than that. Okay, so just so I understand, for example, you're, I don't know, trying to think of something to sell. You've got.
I always say that selling like a home kitchen. Yeah, I'm remodeling kitchens.
Perfect. So okay, so you've told me that you guys are looking to remodel, which is the reason, right? But just out of interest, why is it that you guys are looking to remodel now? Is it a hobby for you? Is it? Explain a little bit more for you, because I need to make it something which is personalized to you, so that it's as perfect as it can be when we install it. Like, that's then going a little bit deeper, and then you can.
I think it's like, I view it as like layers of an onion.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta peel them back until you find the real core personal reason. And like, if you do it properly, they should be like, it's like a therapy session.
Oh yeah.
Right. It's like, for the home remodel thing, I'll be like, oh, well, what's compelling you to want to redo your kitchen now? Yeah. Right. Then they'll give something. But a lot of times people, like, they'll hold their cards close to their vest, their chest. Right. And they may be like, well, I just, I don't really like it. And, I think it's time. So tell me what you do. Right. Maybe they'll do something. Right. And so be like, okay, no, I'm happy to. Well, can I tell you why some other customers tend to look to remodel their kitchens? And you let me know if this relates to you. I'm not sure it does. But some people are just annoyed because there's not enough counter space. Right. And they're bumping into their husbands or wives, and it's annoying. Right. Other times they're trying to host big gatherings, like a Thanksgiving with their family, but like, there's just not enough room. Yeah. Right. And so now they have to drive up to Chicago to do it instead, and they hate their in-laws and they want to cry. Right. Does any of that relate to you at all?
Story.
Right?
It's a story, isn't it? And this is the thing, like, your story, when you're in that understanding part, at least this is what I'm now teaching, is that story needs to be something which is so personal, yet it's going to resonate with them.
Yeah.
Like,
I think a lot of people are like, all right, the only time I'll pitch like is if I'm using a third party story. Like 2 days ago, I was on a call, closed.
hey,
And it was a small organization, so I was surprised they could afford us. But we get to the end and I'm going over our pricing options and things like that. And one of them was like we have some integration feature, right, that we'll charge $2,000 for. And the guy's like, well, we don't need that. It's pointless. Like, oh, okay. He was being a little hard because he was the CEO brought on the end to try to like be a hard guy.
yeah,
Right. I was like, okay. And then all the staff just went right in line, like, okay, we don't need the feature. Right. So now it's like it's unanimous that they don't need this feature. I was like, okay. Well, can I share with you why some other customers tend to use this integrations feature? They do that because oh, and I forgot. I'm like, can I tell you, like, yeah, you might not need it, but can I tell you why some other organizations tend to use this? And you let me know if you think you'd find any value in this at all. But they need it because without it, like they're having to create a separate login for our system and their system, right? And they're dealing with a million different logins with their software, and it gets really complicated. Other times they want to have that data so they can push it back into the main system, so that data is not just lost. So do you think that would, like, is that something you think you would want?
yeah.
I think that's your only way to do it. You have to be like, here's why other customers tend to use this.
Yeah.
Right. And he was like, no, it's worthless. I'm like, yeah, okay, fine. You don't have to have it.
It's funny because it's exactly what I do as well. It's like, okay, well, look, here's why some clients want, I don't know, I'm trying, give me another one. I love this. We're coming up with so many different ones. I love this. It's been a while, Tim.
So wait, you want something to sell?
Yeah, give me something to sell. Give me something. Landscaping. Well, I'll tell you why some of my clients want to use our services. Then one of the main reasons is because they don't like their neighbors looking into their hedges or into their garden. So they want that little bit more privacy, where you can really just go out in the morning, have a coffee in your robe, not worry that anyone's watching, and at the same time you can listen to the water fountains and everything. It's such a general thing, but I'm also painting a picture, and I'm also because it's such a general issue that I'm solving, because of course no one ever, well, some people like that weird shit of people watching them half naked, but most people don't, and it's generalization, painting the picture. So now they can imagine themselves in a robe or in their pajamas walking downstairs, fresh air in the morning. You can paint it as precisely as you want, but I think the more precise that you get with it, it cuts away from the generalization, so you can kind of ruin that.
I think our approaches are slightly different. Our approach, we're both agreeing that we get to tell stories. I think, and this is not good in dating. So the advice I'm giving right now, don't. I think, all right, the way that I lead is I'm bringing out emotions, right? But with the approach that I'm going with leading with problems, I'm actually bringing down like negative emotions, right? So you don't really want to bring out negative emotions on a date, right? Because you're essentially going to turn to a therapist. And they might start crying.
I've had this too many times, bro. Many years ago, but I've had it. In fact, one of my exes, first formal date, I got too deep with her because I thought I was like, oh yeah, this is what women want.
Let me get to know them on a very intimate level.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh no, dude. She was crying about hysterics. We sat at this dock. It's just when I moved to Spain. Terrible. But what do you think? Do you focus more on just bringing up the positive emotions? Because I
no. You have to swing them. You have to swing them.
Yeah.
Right. So I start with bringing out their problems and the emotional impact of those problems. Right. So by the end, and you have to be very nurturing, like throughout this process, because what if it was their decision to pick that software vendor that cost them $2 million with a botched implementation, and like they lost 20% of their members?
Yeah.
Like, what if that was their decision, right? You got to walk them through that to have them open up and be like, oh my God, I almost got fired. I was having a nervous breakdown. I'm on the brink of a divorce because of this. It's
Yeah.
been terrible, right? That's where I'm going, right? And then you have to swing back, like, okay, well, listen, I think based on what you tell me, I think I might be able to help. Is it right if I share with you a little bit about what we do?
Yeah.
Right. And now you're rescuing them out of that trench into heaven or glory, wherever you want to take
the
them.
Promised land. That's it. That's
the promised land.
That's it. It's again, we're so similar. It's amazing.
I say our approaches are they're very similar. There's just a little bit of technique difference.
And that's where as well. I think so many salespeople that they're looking for just like to be a carbon copy. That doesn't work, right? It's like there always has to be that little piece of you and your personality in your sales pitch, because if you can't bring that out, it again, it comes across as like disingenuous, right?
Yeah, well, I think there's a second element as well. Like, you actually have to believe you can solve their problems.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, or else you're just a scumbag, right?
Okay.
I mean,
we spoke about my thing a fair few years ago, the other day. But yeah, don't you have to believe that the product and the service is going to deliver.
Yeah,
like that.
I had a couple sales reps that I hired years ago. That there's this company called I won't name the name, but it was like one
I
of
love
those
how close
coupons.
you got. I was like, oh,
I know. It's one of those like instant coupon things, websites, and you 40% off from your favorite restaurant. And so he was slinging this stuff, and this company just got tons of funding, and there's ramping up their sales and marketing, right? And like, in the beginning, they're just crushing it, like annihilating. They're getting every restaurant, every small business to sign up for these like daily deals. But then he started like talking to his customer base of the business owners, and they're like, we refuse to ever do this again. It's like, why? It's like, every time we sign up with you guys, we lose money. You're promising us repeat customers. They're just ripping us off for the coupons. And now we're in worse shape after working with you than we were before.
Yeah.
And so he told his sales manager that, and his sales manager's like, don't tell the other reps. Right now he has a backbone, and he wound up leaving. Right.
Yeah.
But it wasn't soon after that you can't hide that stuff.
No.
Right. That eventually gets out. Right. And the whole company was just,
if it's the castle, if the castle is built on sand and you've got shit like this, man, it implodes so fast. I mean, I see it. I've seen it so many times. I'm sure that you have as well. And I guess a lot of it comes down to the management as well. Like the managers do have to be honorable and actually give a fuck about their salespeople. And I think that most of them now, like, I get it. Sales is a great money game. I understand that completely. It's the best, most profitable profession. I was going to say job. I don't consider it a job because you work for yourself, right? On the planet. But it shouldn't just be about the money, because the best salespeople I've ever seen, Tim, are always the people that know that their product's actually going to genuinely help someone and genuinely change their life. Because not only are you going to be understanding, but you're also going to push a little bit harder and just be like, well, hold on a second. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I said something different that maybe I shouldn't have said to you, Tim. I'm really sorry, man. But I think this because of this, and this. Does that make sense? Oh, now that you've mentioned it in that way, yeah, that makes sense. But a normal salesperson would just give up at that point. Whereas if you genuinely fucking believe that it's going to help someone, then you push just a little bit. It's not even push. You take a step back, right? You take a step back and go, oh, right, you're pushing me right now. Hold on, okay, because we shouldn't be doing this. We should be on the same team here. We should be on the same team. I'm just trying to help you, okay? Maybe I didn't explain this to you. Sorry about that. That's fine. Right, cool. Now we're back on track. We're both on the same page, and we can move forward, right? Like, yeah,
no, you nailed it. I mean, if you don't have, you gotta have a good product. You got to know what you're doing. You got to actually believe and hopefully you are helping people.
Yeah. And
and then it's a very rewarding job. I feel like, the past year after I sold last year, like I still work for the company that I sold to. I got an earn out, things like that. But I don't have to do any of the other BS that's involved in being a business owner anymore. I don't have to deal with payroll. I don't have to deal with HR issues. Like there's people to just manage that. So it took some transition of like, I'm no longer in charge of everything. Right. And I have a problem with authority. So
it's also, I don't know about you. Do you have, because for me, I have a massive problem with authority, that to the point as where sales is like one of the only things as a profession that I could even do.
Yeah. If I'm going to be an employee, then I have to be in sales. This is the only way, because I can tell people to just go away. I'm like, I'm going to bring you money. Just don't bother me.
Yeah. I'm bringing you 100K a month.
Just don't bother me.
Fuck you. Yeah, but Tim, we need this. No. Okay. Tim's the best performer. We leave Tim alone.
It's like, just don't bother me. I'll bring in a team. I'll scale it up. Right. Yeah. It'll be all roses. But yeah, I had this personality test done on me. And it was this like really in-depth sales. When I first started getting sales training, my sales trainer ran this, like, it was like 400 questions I had to go through. And and it basically spits out a relative probability if you're going to be good in sales or not. And so like I was the 99th percentile for relationship building, which was good and bad. Like there's counteracts for all these things. So I could form bonds easily. But at the time, and this is the one thing I had to work on, it was like, well, maybe you want to have too many friends.
Yeah.
Right. So that could have implications of, think it overs and all that stuff. But then I was like at the 95th percentile for ambition and drive. And he was like, and he pointed it, he's like, that alone is why you'll be successful.
Yeah.
He's like, you can have all bad crap in the world, but if you have that, I will take anyone who has that and turn them into a champion, because you'll overcome anything.
Yeah. Right.
But then I was in the first percentile, which means super low for authority, like dealing with authority. And he told me, he was like, you're the business owner. He's like, doesn't matter for you. But if you see a sales rep that has those numbers, like, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah. It's funny because so many people are like, sales is just reading off of a script. Sales is when you really get sales, like I don't know when it was for me, but it just, for me, it clicked, I think one day. And I just kind of I was like, oh shit. No, I shouldn't just be like pushing people. I shouldn't be just ramming my words in the script, just down their throat.
I don't think I ever did that. I was never doing that. No, I was relying on my product knowledge. Right. I was relying, like during the web design era, like, I would just rely on, I guess I was a naturally good talker to a degree. So I would just rely on let me show you how we're going to build it.
Like proof of concept through the sales process. Like, look, okay, this is what we'll do here. This is what we'll do.
Yeah. In the beginning, I wouldn't ask any questions to them at all. I might be like, what are you looking for? Right. I'm like, okay, well, let me show you how we build websites. And I would just show them our assembly line. Yeah. That was all I had to do. And it kind of worked. Right. But then you get caught in the game of RFPs.
Yeah.
Right. I was writing a proposal a day. Right. And then my business partner would be helping. We're taking off time from him. And he'd be writing these detailed proposals, take him a whole weekend to write. We'd send them off. We'd win every once in a while. Right. But most of the time, it was like a coding plan that he would write. And they would just be like, this is a great coding plan. Thank you. And just send it off to India. Actually, we knew it happened twice. So it was such a time waste.
It's I think in business in general, your job's to make the other person's lives easier so that they don't even have to fucking think about it, right? Like with everything. I mean, like billionaires don't have to think about what the fuck clothes they're going to wear because someone's already chosen the clothes for them. They don't need to worry about where or what they're going to be doing for their holidays because they've just gone and said to their planner or to their PA, look, I want this, I want this, I want this. Don't give a fuck how much it costs, get it done. Is that always the case in sales? Obviously not. There's obviously price objections and so forth, but price objections are normally just because you don't have the right client or the right prospect anyway. But you want to get, as soon as you've made the sale, you want them to be on board with you like ASAP. And I see so many companies fucking up with that as like their major issue in the sales funnel is from cool. John has now signed up, or John has agreed over the phone, or we've got a handshake. Laura, can you get the contract over to him ASAP? Yeah, sure, no problem. 2-3 days pass by. Cold lead now. It's gone with someone else. It's speed. Sales is speed. Because of what you were saying, because it's emotion and it's personality. You know, people want shit done and they want it done as soon as possible, especially if it's a big pain point.
Well, yeah, we're having that problem right now in our company because it's like, you know, our G2 crowd ratings are like, you know, you look at our easy to do business with, it's off the charts. Our support ratings were off the charts. The way that we got that interesting. Well, we hired a good guy to run our implementation department early on. He was hiring people off Reddit. Back before people working from home, we were hiring people in the middle of Kansas, right? And
on Reddit.
Yeah, Reddit. Yeah. So like our entire support department is like recruited off Reddit. But like, you know, we would, there was no stats in that department, right? And as the owner of the company, I'm looking at the support department. I'm like, it's just a black box. And all I know is you keep saying you want to hire people. I'm like, what is going on over there? I'm like, okay, listen, we got plenty of sales stats. I got my KPIs well documented. You know, everyone can see what's going on in the sales department. Like, I need you to provide me one statistic that we can showcase and hold people accountable to in the support department. And he came back to it with like response time. I was like, response time? I was like, that's your stat that you want? He's like, yeah, because I think customers like to get quick replies. I'm like, fine, whatever. We'll use that stat. We can change it later.
Yeah.
It turned out to be the best decision ever, right? Because our average response time to a client is under 10 minutes.
That's amazing.
10 minutes.
That's so good.
Most companies aren't getting replies from software companies for days.
Especially in a SaaS environment. I mean, fuck. I do, like, sometimes we used to take like 2 days and I'd go and I'd be just going through my own emails and I'd get a call from someone that I'd sold like 2 or 3 days before. They've already paid everything. And this was before a lot of the new automation tools and so on, which, by the way, everyone should be fucking using all of them, especially CRMs and so forth.
Oh, yeah,
we'll touch on that actually. I'd love to know which one you think is best. And yeah, they were like clients calling me like, look, bro, we just paid you like $3,000 and we haven't heard back from the support guys yet. I'm like, oh, fuck, again?
I know. It happened to my sales rep yesterday. Like, you know, he closed the deal in 5 days. 5 days for our software is like lightning quick. Yeah. Right. So he slung one off, like, you know, ripped one off. And he's so on it. Right. And then it gets passed to support. 2 days goes by and nothing. And I was like, what? And it turns out there was a tweak in our process that we had made and we forgot to do something. Right. So it's like, you know, it's like everything's got to be like well oiled, like across the whole thing, or else the little bit of a disjointed customer experience, the customer explodes. Yeah.
And it's like the cogs in the wheel. All of them need to work really, really well. What I've now started doing with support is I've now started giving them bonuses based on how many sales are retained, how many sales are retained. Because that's now down to support and product, right?
Yeah, we did that for a while. We don't do it anymore.
No, that's interesting. Is that just?
We have, I believe we give them a small bonus based on the retention of the clients they're working with, but it's not, we're not incentivizing them to sell. We have an account management and they're in charge of renewals and cross sells and upsells and all that stuff.
So, yeah, that makes sense.
For a while there, we just turned them into reps, right? Because we would get sales would get all this blowback in the early days of being like, well, you overpromised this. I'm like, we didn't say that.
Yeah.
Like, we never said that. It was before Gong. So it's, your word against their word.
Yeah.
Right. And so finally my business partner, he's like, he comes to me all stern. He's like, Jim overpromised again. This has to end. He's trying to be a lecture me. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to hear it. I'm tired of this. Okay. Why don't you guys in the sport department just upsell it?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's all money that's just waiting there. Just sell it. Stop bothering us. We're going to get logos over the line for you.
Yeah.
And we did. That was, and it just turned to this huge account management department.
Honestly, that was exactly what the exact same reason that I had. The exact same reason. Because I'm like, why the fuck are we sat on so much money when all of these clients who have had amazing experiences can upgrade their accounts? And we're just focused on getting new business through the door. Why are we not upselling over here as well? And because a lot of people that are watching, they're not going to know what we're talking about. KPIs, upselling. Just explain a little bit about like upselling, cross-selling, because those I think are probably two very important takeaways for most
a lot of companies. It's their whole strategy. It's like the land and expand strategy, where it's like you get a client in for maybe some small dollar amount or something, right? And then the studies say it's like 10 times more efficient to like upsell a current customer, or cheaper to upsell a customer than it is to get a new one.
Yeah.
Something like that. More expensive to acquire a new customer than it is to keep one. So then you just, you sell them more stuff over time, right? And that just doesn't happen magically. Right? They're not, unless you have a total click to sign up product that you can upsell them on features. You have to have a human have a conversation with them and kind of overview what it is they're doing. So we've done it a number of different ways. We had our support reps, just kind of pitching their client stuff. It worked to a degree, but then they would just overpromise themselves and then get themselves into huge holes. And so then, we needed almost like a PM level person to be like, wait a second, because it wasn't just software we were upselling, we were selling professional services. So, I think what's generally worked for us is we have our account managers who are in charge of renewals, which is really a paperwork job, right? We got almost 1,000 clients. So it's really like, how many contracts can we get out? Dealing with trying to find the correct point of contact, because people leave the organization, you got to find the new one.
Pain in the ass.
That's really the job of that department. And so we try to do like these review calls every 6 months, right? So we could then introduce more stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of worked. It's kind of not, I think like what I found is that you have to have it be someone's full-time job.
Yeah.
Unless their livelihood is dependent upon upsells and cross sells happening or selling them different products. It's not going to happen because no one cares.
Yeah. No one cares.
Because they're not going to lose their job over it.
Yeah. And it's also, I'm interested in what you think about this, because I literally just got off of a sales team meeting, and I was saying to my guys, I'm like, look, guys, you have fucking thousands of leads that have already signed up, but now you can upsell them to an additional product, which is going to make you 4 or 5 times the amount of money. They're like, yeah, well, I could do that, but I could also just get new people in. And it comes down to just, in my opinion, I think a lot of it is just fucking pure, abhorrent laziness.
I think it's lazy. I don't know. No, I don't think so.
At the same time, I think it's also the mind is focused on immediate results.
Yeah, I think people are mostly geared towards like, what is the minimum I have to do to get the maximum result?
Yeah.
Right. And if they're used to a process that's like guaranteeing the money, like for us, like for renewals, well, maybe this is the way our comp structure is planned. It is most important for us for a company to get the renewals across the line. Right. So like if we don't have retention on that side, we're toast.
Yep.
So we do care about that. So the upsells is really just a side job. And it's a lot harder for them, especially for with our stuff, to sell them new software. It takes a lot of time. So they just don't do it. Right.
Yeah.
So I think it's the same thing with like think about it like BDRs.
Yeah.
Right. It's their job. Your job is to get meetings, like get us meetings. So the sales reps can focus on just closing. And then, right. But everyone tries to mix this account management bucket of like, oh, we need to be renewing and we need to be cross-selling. It's like, well, which one is it? No, you have to and you have to be big enough to afford someone to actually do it full time. And it's an investment. So we just chose the efficiency route.
Yeah, it's fair enough. For me now, I think I'm only really going to work with commission-only sales guys from now on.
That's smart.
Just because, not only because that was obviously the whole premise of course, my last business, but I've seen a level of work,
lazy.
Work ethic that is disgusts me. Like I honestly, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning for one of my guys, and I can remember it was maybe 10, 11 o'clock in the morning for me at the time. And I got a phone call from him. So I'm like, oh, maybe it's a pocket call. I'll answer it. Like, hey, John, I won't use his real name. He's like, hey, look, so I just got off the phone with this client or with this prospect in Australia. He's ready to get signed up. He's just got a few questions. Bro, it's 3 o'clock in the fucking morning. Like, yes, like I'm happy with that, but you need to just tone it down just a tiny bit. 1 o'clock in the morning's good, but three's a push, you know. You need to get some sleep, but yeah, it's a level of work ethic which I don't see it anywhere else.
I think that well, I guess top sales reps have it, elite sales reps have it, and good business owners have it. But like it's hard. It's been difficult. Me and my business partner talk about this all the time. It's difficult to hold our staff accountable to the same level of perfection that we expect.
It's impossible. How do you struggle with what's the word? It's already been a long week and it's Tuesday. What's the word? When you hand something down to someone else to do.
Delegation,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because I know it's not going to be done as well as me doing it, but sometimes you just have to accept that it's going to get done at like a good enough level.
Yeah.
For the machine to keep rolling.
Do you ever get the feeling? Because I've now arrived at this point. I've now arrived at this point. Oh, there we go. I don't know what happened there for a second.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
But I've now arrived at this point where I genuinely do not have any more time. Like,
man, there is none. Yeah.
So now it's like, do you get the feeling that it's like, because now, for me, it's better just to get it done. Because I'll put something on my list just because I'm like, yeah, I know that needs to be done and that needs to be done really well. So it needs to go on my list. But then it's like all of the other shit comes up, and then eventually I'm like, holy fuck, like a day later, 2 days later, I'm like, shit, the additional thing was on my list that I never got it done.
I mean, listen, I think you got to get good people. That's really it, right? Because we went, our company, and I got to go in 5 minutes, but 4 minutes. My company had 100 staff a year and a half ago. We are down to 42 people. And we are producing the same amount of revenue, the same client retention. And I would argue that our work is better.
What changed?
We were forced to, part of our earnout was a profit-based earnout. So it was an EBITDA earnout. So like we were incentivized to cut any and all questionable budget allocations.
Mhm.
And we just started looking across the board. We're like, that's waste, that's waste, that's waste, right? That person's not, carrying their weight. That person's toxic. We should have gotten them a long time ago. And then you just wind up having a group of like, it's now like me, 1, 2, 3. We got like at least on the revenue side, it's like 3 of us that are just crushing it, right? And then all those other people are gone. We don't even have a marketer anymore. It's me and like my business partner just like slinging stuff.
Yeah.
Like, because that was all waste too.
Yeah.
A lot of things you think you should be doing, you suddenly realize that you probably don't need it, and you can probably do it like as long as you can block off a little time in your calendar, like whether it's once a week or whatever, to pump out the absolutely essential thing you need to be successful. Otherwise, you're just giving people jobs and they're looking on YouTube and they're not really doing work. They're watching this.
Yeah, it's cutting the fat, right? This is a beauty. Like so many people, this will probably go over their heads for so many. And I can't stress this enough. Like it's such an important lesson, not just in business but also in life, right? Like you need to cut the fat, cut the people that are just toying with you, doing some boring shit. Like
a lot of people have a hard time doing it, especially in business, right?
Yeah.
Because my business partner's mentality was very much like we went to school together. We were both computer science, but like we weren't necessarily in the same friend group. So we started off as business colleagues. We eventually became friends. Eventually, he's the best man at my wedding, but like it was business first. So that's what we were used to, and not realizing that a lot of companies are not like that. It's like family, it's this nepotism, it's just this ugliness. And then they're like, well, I can't get rid of Joe because it's Joe's nephew.
Yeah.
Right. And then it's like, then they can't make the hard decisions and the quality just goes down.
Yeah. This is a mistake I've made so many times. Personally, getting the wrong friends in business and the wrong people. Like it needs to be set out from the start. Look, we're here to make fucking money. We're not here to just be laughing and rainbows. And no, we're here to make money.
Yeah.
And we're here to make this work, no matter what. If that means I'm not pulling my weight, fine. I need to be doing something else. If you're not pulling your weight, you need to be doing something else. So we agreed on that. We're agreed. Cool. Legal contracts. If we get fucking legal contracts.
I got to go, buddy. We could probably talk for another hour, I'm sure.
Easily, far too easily. But we'll get you on again. But I had to get you on, obviously. And if anyone wants to follow Tim, let them know just quickly for the video watchers. What's your
if you go to Timothy R. Spell, R as in Robert, timothyRspell.com. That's a link to all my social profiles. You can find me there.
Absolutely. Perfect. Tim, I know that you're a busy man. Genuinely appreciate it. Finally, we got to speak again. And we'll have this up for you guys ASAP. But appreciate you getting on, brother. And enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, Michael.
Appreciate you, bro.